Welcome everybody to another edition of Think with a Drink. This is the weekly webinar brought to you by the Ares Foundation for Financial Education. And this week's show, Craig, we're going to be talking about something a little bit specific, a little bit niche, is cash balance retirement plans. So when we deal with cash balance retirement plans, if we can flip the screen, get us under the PowerPoint there so that we have that behind us. Thank you. So real quick with an overview about what we're going to do. We've got, a little introduction for us, what's on tap, what we're drinking, because we like to do that with everybody in terms of what's happening. We'll talk a little bit about cash balance plans, okay? A little bit about how it's different from a 401k,
Yep.
right? We will do one of our episodes, the Misbehaving with Money Minute, and then some advantages to it and some of the things that you should be thinking about. Okay, so next slide. So real quick for me, my name is Tom Alessi. I am the president of the Ares Foundation for Financial Education. I have been in financial services. I am now in my 25th year, Craig. That's kind of amazing.
I believe it.
I am an investment advisor. That means I'm actually a certified fiduciary now, as of last year. I am now a certified fiduciary. Means I act in the best interest whenever giving any guidance or advice to any of my clients. I want to bring my vice president, Craig, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm certified, a bull, but not certified. I'm Craig Richardson. I'm the vice president of the Ares Foundation. I've been in financial services a little over 20 years now, and I specialize in working with families and individuals to help them define their goals and have a better relationship with their money.
And Craig will be chiming in as we go along today. One of the things we talked about with Think with a Drink is brought to you by the Ares Foundation. So the Ares Foundation for Financial Education is brought to you. One of the things that we do as a nonprofit is trying to help everyone have a better relationship with their money. You can visit us on the web. It's aresfoundation.org. Go through some of the things we do. Look at us. If you pull up the next slide for us, that next slide has the contact one before. There we go. So here's ways to follow us. You can check us out on social media. That's LinkedIn, Twitter. The email, if you ever have questions, it's info@aresfoundation.org. And also you can check us out on Instagram. We've got, a YouTube channel. We're here on New TV channel as well, so you can always follow us. Okay, so what we're drinking today, Craig, this is Oktoberfest from Sierra Nevada. Oktoberfest, so the thing that comes to mind with these, malty, caramel, what's the first thing that you think of with Oktoberfest?
Well, fall.
Well, fall, but sausage and pretzels
right.
and that type of thing. So we're talking about food pairing.
Lederhosen.
Yeah, I'm not pairing that with this,
okay.
but schnitzel, how's
Schnitzel,
that?
there you go.
There we go. I'll pull that one out. And sauerkraut, those type of things. Meats on the grill. That's what you're trying to think about with this. So, skål.
Skål.
So next slide, the cash balance, right? So when we look at cash balance plans, right? So what's the difference here, right? So a cash balance plan is not a 401k retirement plan, right? So a 401k, just to sort of, do it out real quick, high level for everybody in the audience, you have two types of retirement plans. We have defined contribution and defined benefit.
Correct. Defined
contribution, everybody would think of this now as 401k. Okay, it's kind of become like, a tissue is Kleenex and, my New England accent, soda is a Coke type of thing, where retirement plans are 401ks.
Okay.
All right, so a defined contribution just means me as the employee is taking all of the risk. It's all on me.
Oh, good, because you were confusing me for a second.
Okay.
I don't know what Coke and tissue had to do with anything, but...
Well, it's just, when you think of it, there's all different types of retirement plans out there that an employee can contribute to, but what everybody thinks about when they think about employees making a contribution,
right.
401k comes to mind.
So the difference between defined and contribution is whose the responsibility's on.
Who's the responsibility? So a defined benefit plan is a pension plan. This is, the employer is now on the hook for this.
Right.
I've got, as the employer, have to make this contribution. And what's happened in the world is that these are very, very few, except for like municipalities, government employees, that type of thing.
So we're talking about old school pensions is what you're talking about.
Old school pensions, right?
Okay,
so there's the difference. So that's what it is. So if you can bring that slide back up for a second, just so we have it in the back there. Thank you. Right? It really is the fact that these are all on the responsibility of your employer when we're talking about a pension plan. So next slide. So when we look at defined contribution plans,
Yeah.
the 401k of the world, that type of thing, you have limits about who can contribute so much, depending on how the plan is set up. We're not going to get too deep into that, but generally the idea is if you've got a highly compensated person,
Yeah.
for the purposes of this year's contribution, 2024, that means anybody making more than 150,000.
I was going to say more than 20.
No.
Oh, okay. 150. All right.
Anybody making more than 150,000 is considered highly compensated.
Okay.
What happens with the highly compensated folks is it's basically a little formula that exists, but a way to think of it is highly compensated on one side, everybody else on the other side. Whatever their average deferral rate is for the rest of the folks,
Yeah.
figure you can do as highly compensated approximately 2% more. So if their average is 3, you could do 5.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But, think of all of the non-highly comped and the size of the company, and, zeros suddenly bring that averaging down where,
So as a highly compensated person, I'm not only limited by the IRS rules of how much I can put into my 401k, I'm also limited by the average account balance or average contributions of the other employees in the organization.
correct.
Wow. So this is really, 401ks are really designed for the rank and file.
For the most part.
More
they're
than the
diff-
highly compensated.
Right, and we get into it in another time. There's on the site, you can check us out and see the different things that we have available with that to go through the different types of plans. But really the idea here is that, yes, if you just take that example, if I'm a highly compensated making 150,000
Yep.
and my max I can put in is 5%,
Right.
I can only put 7,500 into the retirement plan.
As opposed to the 27.5 that would have been able to put
Right, well, if you're over 50 for this year, you can put 30,500 in.
in. Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
not if you're highly compensated and the other people are putting it in.
And the other people I'm putting in. There are ways to design that and deal with it. But the idea here is that for a lot of times with highly compensated folks, what happens is they get limited. I want to put more away.
Those poor people.
And now we start getting to situations where we're dealing with a select group of people, high earners out there. And we'll talk about that as we get towards the end, like who this fits for, this whole concept here. But just know there are limitations that happen, and it's like, what can I do, right? Because that's one of the conversations that happens a lot with us is, people are like, I want to put more away, but I can't.
Right, so I want to make sure you're taking care of everybody at the organization.
Right. Next slide. So this just sort of gives you the differences, right? So these are, and this is the whole with the whole different defined contribution plans that are available there for you, right?
So we're not going to all that whole alphabet soup today, though, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. So it just goes in order of a simple, a SEP, all right, a individual or solo K, and then you get into the defined benefit plan and defined benefit plan with a 401k attached to it.
Ah, so we can have hybrids.
Hybrids, exactly. That's sort of where we fall into with the cash balance plan. And these numbers are just, this is a hypothetical for somebody who's over the age of 50, max funding out in terms of their plan
Okay.
and what they're able to put away. But you can see in the contribution limit there, even for somebody who gets to fund to the max in a 401k plan, that's $66,000, right? If I'm making $300,000, $400,000 a year,
It's not going to be enough to get me there.
that's not enough, and it's certainly not enough to take away in terms of what I'm trying to do from a tax reduction standpoint.
Well, we can talk about the tax efficiencies on another program, but
Yes,
because that's going to be a whole other sidetrack.
right. But the idea is generally that's the concept, though, right? I'm trying to put money away for retirement,
Yes.
but at the same time, I'm trying to reduce my tax base while I do that.
Right.
And, a lot of times, specifically for those who are, solopreneurs, independent contractors, that type of thing, the idea there is, well, I can do this, I can put it into a SEP IRA,
Yep.
or a solo K 401k plan,
Yep.
but I'm limited. I'm limited in terms of how much I can put into that plan, how much I can actually lower my tax base by.
Right.
That's the conversation. It's trying to make sure that you're being efficient with everything, sort of twofold. I'm trying to replace my $300,000 or $400,000 a year when I get to retirement.
Right.
I need to build up this money to get there.
Yep.
But I can't put it away.
Right.
So what am I going to do?
So if I was the average rank and file making 60 grand a year, and when we're 50, I could put 30,500 a year. I can put almost 50% of my pay away. But if I'm making 300,000, and all I can put is, even if I do the max 30,000, I can only put 10% of my pay away.
Right.
So I'm at a disadvantage in that respect, trying to have the same lifestyle when I retire.
Exactly. And that's really where this conversation kicks into when we start talking about the whole idea of cash balance and a hybrid retirement plan and how that all sort of fits in for somebody. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. But sort of that's the concept. I'm an individual, whether it's I'm a solopreneur or I'm in a partnership or something, and I am looking to maximize my tax deferral for this year.
Right, so why pay taxes until you have to pay taxes?
And so you have to pay taxes. And with what's gone on with the tax code, required minimum distributions now, this year it's 73.
Yeah.
But it's winding up over the next 9 years. It's going to get to 75. So if we're talking about somebody who's just over the age of 50 right now, they're not going to have to touch the money until they're 75 years old.
Yeah, so you can put this off for quite a while, let it build.
And just let it build up. Next slide, please. All right, so one of the things that we try to do here is we try to have, let's call it a little bit fun with what we call misbehaving with money minute. So this is just a quick little aside here as we deal with ideas and concepts. But this one actually is talking, now we go to the rank and file, right?
Yes.
So this misbehaving with money minute is when we are not taking advantage of our employer matching program in the retirement plan.
Yeah.
Whether you are somebody who has decided, look, I just can't do it, but the concept here is this is free money. Right? So understand when your employer is giving you a match, this is over and above what you are putting into the plan.
Yep.
And you can quote us on this. Free money is the best kind of money.
I think this comes into play too, especially not to pick on the younger crowd, but sometimes you're not thinking about retirement if it's 1 or 2 lifetimes away. So, and you're thinking, oh, it's 1 or 2 or 3%, what's the big deal? Well, 3% is, if you're doubling, if I could double my money every dollar I had, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Right.
So why would you not double the money that you can double? And if, eventually it'll add up over time. So that's what you want to take advantage of is time, and why you want to make sure you're taking advantage of free money.
Right, and for those who are in the situation who say, you know what, there's way too much month at the end of my money, I can't make this work, I just can't start right now. The concept is just get in. Even if you're only doing 1%, at least 1% you're getting matched on something. And if, like Craig said, it's like 100% to the first 3 or some number like that, that's you're doubling. Your 1% becomes 2 in that scenario. Right. So take advantage of the match. If you are struggling or not sure, that's why we're here. At the end we'll give you how to contact us, but reach out to us. That's what we do. We have these conversations with people every day about how to be better with their money, how to get more money at the end of my month instead of the other way around.
Absolutely.
And especially if you're in this situation and you're trying and not taking advantage of what becomes free money, now's the time to do it.
Absolutely. No time like now.
No time like the present. Next slide.
You have a present for me?
No, I don't have a present.
Oh,
so
okay.
Hopefully this works. I don't know what this is going to look like. All right, advantages of a cash balance pension plan. If you can hit the button, it'll just bring them all up. All right. So the first one is maximum tax deduction. So here's the thing, like we gave you the details on what somebody could max out with their plan when they're doing it. The numbers, again, in a 401k, that's 66,000. This year in a cash balance retirement plan, it's 285,000.
Wow.
Yes. So if you're someone who is making that substantial amount of money, this might be the way to get that money in to make that happen, right? The other part, if you can just bring that slide back up for a second. Right, so here's the thing with the payroll tax portion of this, right? So the big myth with 401ks is that they're pre-tax, right? Everything is pre-tax when it happens. Like, that's true as far as your state, that's true as far as your federal taxes.
Right.
However, and we have done this, and you can look it up on the website and check us out, we have this whole thing on who's FICA, right? FICA.
Why is he getting my money?
Why is he getting my money? Payroll taxes. That's Social Security and Medicare tax, which you as an employee are paying 1/2 of,
Right.
7.62%. But if you are a independent contractor, solopreneur, a business owner, you are paying both sides, 15.3%. That's money. Any money that goes into a defined contribution plan is paying that payroll tax.
Right.
You're never going to get that back.
Right.
You will when you do your benefits, but let's face it, where Social Security is going to be 20 years from now, who knows? That's another show, but that's something else you can check out. But if the money is going into a pension or a employer contribution, there is no payroll tax.
Wow, so you're saving 15% right off the top, not talking about the tax deferral.
15% right off the top. The other one on there, another advantage is about trying to, recruit, retain, reward employees. Pensions are plans that are meant for the future. These are not like 401ks that you can just take them where, okay, I worked here for a year and a half, I'm just going to take my money with me and go. Right? These are meant like you're going to be in this for the long haul because there's a reward at the end.
Yep.
You're going to get this benefit. That's what the old pension plans used to do, like that old lock, stock, and barrel pension plan. I'm going to work for the company for 40 years and then I'm going to get my gold watch and my pension.
Because cash balance plans are technically funded by the owners of the company, is that correct?
They are funded by the company.
By the company, right.
Right.
Okay.
So that's how that works.
And that's where the
why-
benefit comes from if you retain somebody.
If you retain somebody, because the money is being funded in by the employer, by the company, on your behalf as an employee, should you choose to do that. Now, a lot of times these get set up differently, but we'll talk about that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's another thought in my head, that's all.
And then the other is because there is a benefit for succession planning. Like for a lot of business owners, that's something down the line. I'm thinking about, okay, how am I going to get out? Well, now we've got this plan in place that has this chunk of money in it, and then that becomes on the balance sheet of the company. And that's something that can be used when you think about, all right, what is my company worth? And not your position, but if you funded it for your employees, then you wind up in the situation of, I've got all of this benefit. Now this is actually a bottom line.
So if one of your employees wanted to take over an existing organization, that gives them some leverage because they've built that, and you've actually, as the employer, put that aside for them.
Right, but it's also an asset.
Yeah,
It's
right.
an asset to the plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, you win on both sides when you're dealing with that. So so again, thinking about that from, I can maximize the money I put away. I can avoid FICA. I can avoid the payroll
Call it all
tax, right?
together.
So I got 15% that's in my pocket that I can save. If I have employees, I can use this as a way to sort of, dangle the carrot for them in terms of going through it. And there are some succession planning benefits to it. So the cash balance plan, again, there's a lot of things that you can do. Pension plans, these are a little different. Again, a cash balance plan, more of a hybrid model. So it's sort of an in-between the 401k and that defined benefit thing.
Okay. All right.
Next slide. All right, so who is right for this type of plan? So not everybody, like Craig already said, like the general rank and file, somebody making 50, 60,000, it's not right for you. It's not going to be a fit, just that's the nature of who it is. But if you're a small business owner, and when we say a small business owner, we're talking about somebody with maybe less than 10 or 12 employees.
Yep.
You're making the bulk of the money from the business, and your employees, they benefit, they get some, they're making money, but most of it is to you, to the company.
Yeah.
This is a fit because there are ways that you can design this plan where you don't have to include every employee.
Right. Well, I see a lot of people asking me about it when they start getting north of 200,000 in regular income.
Right.
Right, because like I said, they can only put so much away in the other plans. They want to put more away to maintain that lifestyle in retirement. And maybe, like I said, they're adding people on and want to do some retention. And how do you do that?
Correct. Right. And so, again, small business defined as maybe less than 12 or 10 employees. There are ways to design it. Right. So the other one on there is a partnership. Right. So partnership, that's, whether that's just two practitioners together or a small, like a
lawyer's practice or
oh,
something
there
like
you go.
that.
Like a law group, a
Doctors
CPAs,
group.
doctors, dentists, that type of thing. Like these are, 1, 2, or 3 people who are the major earners in that situation. Maybe there's a couple of employees along with it. Again, ways to design this. Not that you're trying to carve them out,
Right.
but let's face it, the bulk of the benefit, the bulk of the tax deduction, what you're trying to do is going to going to the owners versus going to the employees. You still will make a 401k available,
Yep.
so that they will have the opportunity to participate, match all of that.
Right.
But where you would be limited in that situation as the owner in that situation, you have the ability to drain that to really add more on the tax benefit.
Right. So the cash balance plan isn't to get rid of a 401k, it's a supplement.
Correct.
It's
right.
an addition to.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It is meant to be in addition to that. And then the last one on there is the easy one, which is the self-employed. If you're a solopreneur, you're making, like Craig said, is it got north of 200,000, and then realizing how limiting a SEP or even a solo K plan can be for you, it gives you the opportunity to say, wait a minute, I should be taking advantage. I've got this income. This income is steady. It's been something that I've been earning now going forward and project going forward. So the idea there is to have yourself available with I can put more money away and fund that retirement need because I'm going to try to replace this income.
Right. That's what I was thinking about earlier when I was saying that little thought.
Yeah.
Because if you're a solo corp, it's a pass-through organization. So even though technically the benefit is being paid by the organization, it's all you. So.
Right, exactly. All right, and so that the next one, which is just some really key takeaways here with some of the things to be thinking about, right? So one of them is, nothing ever works unless you have a plan. So we're always going to talk to you about having a plan, putting a plan together. The second one is knowing your income, right? So a lot of times we talk to, let's call them solopreneurs, self-employed, 1099, independent contractors, for lack of better, terminology there. But it's last year was up, this year is down, last year was up, this year is down. Not necessarily a fit
Right.
for the type of person that is going to benefit from this, because you really need that sort of steady stream of income
Right.
when you come into it, right? You can bring the slide up again just for me real quick, right? And then the other is knowing your tax bracket, right? Because if I'm able to take a lot of deductions and bring myself way down,
Right.
do I really need to be plowing all this money in? Maybe I could find someplace else that I could put it into
Right.
and do other things with my money that instead of trying to push it all into a retirement plan.
Right. Yeah. These are all good problems. I call these good problems, right?
Good
You should-
problems.
Well, because let's face it, anybody can go and set up a SEP or a simple. It's pretty simple to set those up. When you start doing a cash balance plan, there's a lot more moving parts, and you can't just monitor that yourself. You have to actually have an actuary who's knowing what you can put into those plans each month or each year. So, and once again, you also want to make sure, am I getting the best tax advantage for myself down the road, right?
Right.
So this is where you really want to have someone who knows how to plan these things out, who can look at the whole picture and put those pieces together for you.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things with that is knowing what the end goal is.
Oh, absolutely.
What do I want to get to? What do I want to accomplish? How much do I want to have at the end? Because that's really what this is all about. That's where the cash balance comes in. I'm able to say I need $2 million in retirement. Like, I can't get there if I'm only contributing what's in the 401k limit.
Well, that's the issue too with a lot of sole proprietors, small partnerships, is they're so engaged in the day-to-day, they don't think about the end game. They don't think about the exit strategy, right? And so this is really about giving some more thought to exit strategy and how that's going to be the most efficient way of
Right.
either transferring a business or retiring.
Yeah, and then you want to make sure any plan, it really doesn't work unless you implement, and of course, review.
Absolutely.
So one of the nice things when we talk about cash balance plans and contribution levels is they're generally done so that you can have a little bit of wiggle room, right? So let's say the target was I wanted to put 120,000 away on an annual basis. Well, I might have the ability to do like 90 or 100 in
Yep.
1 year, but up to like 160, 170 in a year, depending, right?
I mean, if I had a great year and I want to dump a little more
I
in.
want to add a little bit more, and does that affect me down the line type of thing? But you have the ability and the flexibility to sort of maneuver those and say, wait, I can make changes here.
Yeah. So you just want to make sure when you build a plan, it is working around your business model, your cash flow situation, and what's going to be best for you at the outcome.
Right. And so that if you give me the next slide, this should be the call to action for us, which is just how to get in touch. So one of the things you can do is, that QR code, stop whatever you're watching and just shoot the QR code. That'll open up our calendar. You can schedule a time to meet with us. Whatever is easy for you, it'll just open it up. You pick the day, you pick the time. I mean, you can always go to the website. You can always contact us that way. But the adage there is that whatever your plan is, whatever you have set up, you can't get a second opinion from the person who set it up.
That's true. I can give you 2 opinions.
Well, you can, but I mean, that's like going to your doctor and asking them to change the opinion you just gave you. It doesn't work that way. You got to go to another doctor. You got to go to somebody else in terms of doing that. So there is that sort of adage of, wait, I want to make sure. So if you can pull that slide up just to make sure that the QR code is there, just in case for any folks, again, you didn't get a chance. Oh, you can always rewind it. I sort of forgot about that, but yeah.
And you don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
It's always good to talk to somebody and make sure you do know what you know.
And then the last slide, if you would, is just, again, the other ways that you can contact us. So again, the ariesfoundation.org. You can /contact. There's a contact page on there that you can just fill out your information. One of us will get back to you. That schedule link is exactly what pops up in the QR code from the previous one. You can email us. That's info@ariesfoundation.org. Or you can always follow us on any of the social medias. You can like us, give us a like, a thumbs up, or whatever the case may be. We are always very happy for anybody to like, follow, or whatever they're supposed to do.
I like it when people like me.
That's always a good end of it. But yeah, if you ever have any questions on this, anything that you're trying to deal with, again, a lot of times it's trying to make sure that you're being fundamentally sound, having a good relationship with your money, being careful with your money. Just reach out to us. That's why we're here. And we want to say, thanks and have a great evening.